In this video, I am going to show you how you can make this candy cane inspired holiday basket. I will be using 3/8 inch cotton filler cord cut 12 feet. I am going to be using 4mm braided macrame cord. The kits that I will have available on my website will be with 5mm braided macrame cord. So to get started, I am going to take one end of my filler cord and then just cut it at a slight angle. We want to taper this so that when we fold it over, it's not as bulky. So just cut one end like this and then pull all the loose pieces out. I am going to begin using the white cord. You are more than welcome to use whichever color you want first. I start with about a handful, so this is good. I don't measure as I go, I just cut handfuls at a time. I'm going to use a plastic darning needle, and all of this will come with your kit if you order one. And then I go like this to make sure that there are no knots in my cord that I've cut. So I'm right-handed and I like to hold my filler cord in my left hand and wrap with my right hand. Sometimes in my workshops I notice that people that are right-handed do the opposite of me, which is totally fine. Do whatever you're comfortable with. So I am going to keep these two separated. That's going to avoid getting your stuff tangled up. So I'm just going to lay the cord over my filler cord facing the left, and it's about like an inch or two. Doesn't have to be that much. So I don't want to start wrapping right where I cut, right here. I want to go in just like about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. So I like to place my fingers right where I'm about to start wrapping, so about there. And then I'm going to bring that down and then start wrapping over that filler cord, over the tail to the left. And I'm going to do this about 11 or 12 times. It doesn't matter if you don't cover the tail. It'll get covered once we start folding it over. So you do want to wrap nice and tight. That's going to give you a nice sturdy basket and also help eliminate the filler cord showing through. So now I'm going to take this end here and fold it in half like this. This part and the next part are the hardest on your hands for the whole entire basket, and then everything gets much easier. Now I'm going to take the cord, it should be behind your work, and wrap around both of these. And I'm going to do that another like 10 times. Okay, I think I'm going to go maybe 2 more, so let's do 12 times. And it's not because I was trying to cover that, it's just because this needs to be a certain length because we're going to fold this again. So don't worry about this little part showing a little bit of a gap. That just happens sometimes, especially with the thicker material. Normally when we fold this over and begin doing our stitches, you're able to cover it. So this next part is going to be a little hard too, but once we get past this and put a few of our double wraps in, it'll become much easier because it'll hold itself together. So you're going to take this end and just fold it down in half again one more time, just like that. So I can see that this, where I left off, is lined up with my center. And it's right where I want it to be because I am going to cover this little gap here. So you're going to take your needle and push it through the center like that, the center hole, which is actually round 1 that we just created, and then pull this through. And then pull all the cord. Now I'm going to squeeze this down, and I'm going to be intentional about covering that spot. So there, it's covered. Now I'm going to slide this over just a little bit, and I'm going to hold this down nice and tight as best as I can. It is a little hard on your hands, but once you get a few more of these in, it'll be nice and secure. So again, I'm holding only with my left hand and wrapping only with my right hand, because if you start switching hands, your cord is going to get tangled up. So whatever hand you choose to wrap with, only wrap with that hand. So the cord again is behind, and I'm going to bring it around this piece here. And I'm going to wrap just the filler cord again 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, pull it over and hold it nice and tight. The needle goes through that same hole from the bottom. Pull all the cord through. And then wrap over both like this. Okay, and then again 4 times, so around that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you want to just keep turning your coil. That's what's going to shape your basket, okay? So now I'm going to take the needle and go through that center again. Pull it all through. And I'm going to wrap tightly around both like this. And it's already much easier to hold on to because it's nice and secure because I've already done 3 stitches. So these are, I call them double wraps because it's going over the 2 rounds. And then these ones I call single wraps because it's going just over the actual coil. Okay, so now I'm going to just bring it around and wrap 4 more times again. So it's basically the same process for round 2. Okay, I have 4 more and then I'll go through the center for my last time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this completes round 2. You can see here where this curves. This is where all of the rounds start. So this first little circle was round 1, and then this was round 2. So you could see here, this would be starting round 3, and you can tell because from the center hole, I have 1, 2, 3, and when it comes back up over this, it'll be 1, 2, 3 going up. So this is where all of the rounds start. I'm actually going to go through the center one more time. Okay, now I'm going to do my 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But now I'm going to be placing my needle right here. So I'm done with the center. After the second round, you no longer go through the center hole. Now you're going to be going into all of these spots right here. So my needle goes here, and then I will pull it all through. And then I'll do another 4 and see if it matches up where I want it to be. I could tell I don't. I'm going to stop here. Okay, so instead of doing 4, I'm going to wrap 3 and go into that spot one more time right here. And then I'm going to stop counting by 4. Now all I'm going to do is wrap until I'm centered. So what I mean by that is if I would have counted by 4, this double stitch here would have been too close to this. It would have been touching and kind of like overlapping. So now instead of counting by 4, I will continue wrapping my single wraps until my work is centered in between these 2 double wraps. So we have all these little spaces here. They look like a V. So I'm going to just wrap my filler cord like this. One more. So this ended up being 5, and that's why I say you don't have to count because it's not going to be the same each time. And then this is centered here. So I'm going to push my needle here and pull it all through. Okay, so now I can tell that this is centered right in between those. And you don't have to do it this way. You can count the whole time. For me personally, I think that it looks neater when you do it this way, so everything is centered. Now when I get to the sides, I will change it up a bit because I'm trying to make a specific pattern for you. Okay, so again, this is centered here. So I will place my needle right here and then pull it through. Okay, so I only want my base to be 4 rounds and I already have 3, so 1, 2, 3. And now I'm ready to start my red. But I really wanted to bring the white over to this side here, but I'm running out. But I don't really want to add a new piece of white just for a tiny little section. So I am going to add in my red a different way than I normally would show. I'm going to add it in about here. So typically when I add a new piece of cord, I do it right after a double wrap. So I will show you again when I have to add another piece how to do it right after the double wrap. So I'm going to cut a nice handful of the red. I'm going to go ahead and place this end here. So this cord happens to have like a really easy inner lining that I can just kind of cut out to make it thinner. The braided cord that comes with the kits are not the exact same. It does have pieces you can pull out, but it's not this exact kind. So I'm just pulling it out to help reduce the bulkiness when I add in a new piece. Okay, so going to bring the old tail to the front like this. And then I'm going to take the new piece and lay it on the back. Now I hold it very close to my last wrap to help give it support. You don't want to hold it out here because it's much easier when you just place your hands right next to your last wrap. So I'm going to hold the old tail to the front, new tail to the back, take the cord and just bring it around and start wrapping exactly the same way. So it just goes directly over both tails. And I am already ready to go into this spot right here with my needle. So here's my needle and I'm going to go right here because it's centered. Okay, so I'm going to pull this all through. And then just continue wrapping. So it's going to be the same exact process. So now I'm just going to make sure that I'm sliding everything over and that it's nice and tight and secure. But basically I'm going to repeat this exact process for this entire round. So I'm going to continue wrapping until I'm centered in between all of these spaces. So just continue wrapping over the tails. If the tails are long, you can cut them out, but these ones weren't too bad, so I'm just going to leave them. So now I'm going to go into this space here. Okay, so I'm going to continue this all the way around until I get back to this side, and then I'm going to show you what to do next. So you're just going to continue wrapping until they're centered in between all of these double wraps. Okay, I am in the last spot to do my double wrap, and I'm going to switch back to the white. So going forward, every other round is going to be red and then white, red and then white. Okay, so now I'm going to take my old tail, pull it to the front. So this is where I was showing you, this is how I normally change my colors. So it's here. I will cut a little tail. I'm gonna go ahead and take the center out of this white on both ends. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my cord the same way. So basically the old tail goes in the front, the new one goes in the back. Hold them both like this, and then just bring it down and around your work and continue wrapping just like we were before. Now this is also going to be the first round of my side. So all I'm going to do is pull my filler cord up a little bit at a slight angle. Okay, so I'm pulling it up just a bit so you can see it's not completely flat anymore. Now going forward, all of my double wraps are going to be to the right of my previous round. So this is my previous round's wrap. And to the right of it, pull it all through. So I'm going to make sure my filler cord is up just a bit. So for the first round, I like to go at a slight angle, not completely over it. Pull it nice and tight, slide it over, and just continue to wrap. All right, and then just continue wrapping. So I'm going to continue until I get to this one here. Okay, I think one more. And you could just slide these over just a little bit to make sure it's tight, and also to make sure that these aren't really touching. It's okay if they touch a little bit, but you don't want it to go too close that it looks like it's crossing over. So check the back of your work, make sure that the filler cord's not showing through and that it's nice and neat, which it looks good. And so this is what I'm going to continue to do for this entire round, and actually the whole basket. I am just going to wrap until I'm right next to the previous one, like this. And then every other round I'm going to change colors. Okay, I will continue this until I get to the end, and then one more time show you how to change colors and get started on the next round. Okay, here I am at my last wrap. Bring it around, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the red back in. Okay, so again, the old tail goes in the front, the new tail goes in the back. Hold them both like this, nice and close to that double wrap. Bring it behind your work and just continue to wrap like we were before. So I'm just going to wrap until I get to the same spot, so always to the right for every single round. Okay, that looks good right there. And then it's naturally going to start to stack on top of each other. So just make sure that your filler cord is going over the previous round. You can leave it out at an angle if you'd like, but you have to wrap nice and tight in order for it to start to form a basket shape. Otherwise it might stay flatter. So I'm going to put my needle here, and this is all I'm going to do until I come to the end of my basket. So I will continue to do this off camera and then show you how to finish. Just make sure every single time it's to the right of that previous wrap. Okay, I am on my final round, so it's actually going to be a total of 10 rounds. And as you can see, by doing it this way, it creates this really pretty pattern on the outside. So I just thought this would be really pretty to do instead of just doing it the regular spacing that I typically do, because it's more of like a little candy cane or peppermint. So the filler cord, if you are buying a kit, comes with 12 feet, and it is going to be more than you will need. So if you want to do a knot at the end, you can. I'm not going to. I'm going to do a flat finish. So basically, I'm just going to finish this very last round. All I'm doing is, again, wrapping nice and tight. And then I'm just going to bring it until I get to this wrap here. So I'm going to keep going, and then I will show you how to finish. So when I get to about here, we're going to taper off the end of the filler cord and then finish the basket. Okay, before I place my last wrap, I'm going to cut this at an angle, and you want to make sure you do the design all the way until the end so that when you finish with the red, it's going over the red so it kind of looks the same. So I'll show you. Let's just cut this down. And try to make this just a little bit thinner. Okay, I have one more wrap to do. Place my needle here. Okay, and then now I'm going to just take this over here. Once I get past that double wrap right there, this white one, I'm going to now add in a bunch of double wraps here until this is all completely covered. Depending on how well you're able to thin this out, you don't want to pull this down too tight because it'll just slide down. This is actually working out pretty good, but sometimes the slant doesn't work out as well and you just don't want to pull it too tight. I mean, you want it to be tight enough that it's nice and secure, but not so that this slides. And that's typically when you're using thicker braided material. When you're using yarn, you can overlap it a bunch of times and it doesn't show. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and make sure that the coverage looks good. It does. I'm going to slide it over just a little bit. Okay, I'll do one final wrap. And then now also, because I didn't wrap too tight, I'm able to take my needle and just go back under a couple of these. So I'm going to try to do 2 or 3. Sometimes I can only do 2, but let's see if I can get 3. Sometimes it ends up poking through the cord, so you have to just be careful. So let me try at least doing 2 first. I think that one is good. Let's see. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get underneath at least one more. And honestly, it's fine with 2 as long as you're not like holding it and pulling it by this area. It's not going to come undone, and you can also just add a little piece of glue if you'd like. Okay, I'm going to leave mine like that. It's no big deal. So now I'm just going to cut off this extra piece. Get as close as you can without cutting your work. And then just kind of push it underneath. And that is it. Here is an adorable Christmas basket you can make. It looks like a peppermint or a candy cane. I have these kits available on my website, handyknots.com. I will drop the link in the description box below and also include a discount code. They come in green and white or red and white. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.